Of well, this is my first video ever on the German language, and I don't know where this whole series will go or what entirely I will end up doing with it, but I do have confidence in my German. That's the only language besides English that I feel like that I feel confident, like really not. I'm not saying that my German is perfect, but I feel confident in it. So I'm going to start this whole thing off with a little guide to German pronunciation here. I have each letter and each variation of sound with it, and hopefully this will go fast. So if you want to get to a certain letter, as to if you want to know how it sounds in the German language, just use this little scroll bar down here at the bottom of the video and scroll towards that. So I'll start with A. First of all, the German language is very much like English. However, there are many differences, and because of how close it is and how many differences there are words like Z, or letters like Z, or even letters that have umlauts over them that people don't entirely understand how they're supposed to be said. So I'll start with the regular A, which is a ah sound. Katze. It's not ah. There's no ah sound in the way that we say Nebraska here. But there's a version of it which is the A with the umlaut. But A without a umlaut, it's pronounced ah. It's like the word Katze. And there are many other examples, like Kvatch. So the A with the umlaut is different. The A with the umlaut has a eh sound. Lärm. Lärm is a word for noise or loudness. So A with the umlaut is or it's gonna come out while A without a umlaut would be like Katze or cat. Bear, like isn't bear. Plätze, or places or spots. So that's the difference between this is this is B, very, very simple, similar to us. It's gonna sound one of two ways. In German, it'll sound like a regular B, or it can sometimes take the sound of a P. Like, just the way it'll sound, the way the Germans will speak it, can sometimes sound like a P. Take for instance the word Kleps. The word the letter B in there kind of sounds like a P. Kleps. Kleps. That's cancer. So the best way to know the pronunciation is to take classes or have a Rosetta Stone, or go to Germany or Austria or Switzerland. C, the only letters that have C without a CH are ones that the German language took from English, like the word CD, or sometimes they'll say CD because, but it'll the word D CD. The words that they take from English, because a lot of words in our language have this letter which starts a lot of words, like the word catastrophe in English. However, there's not a whole lot of that in German, because in English the C can typically make a K sound, and Germans use this letter for that. However, we have the CH sound, the dich, which is a variation of saying you, mich, which is a variation of saying me. Pünktlich means punctual or on time. The looks like it has a throat like sound to it. Dich, mich. See if any Geschichte. Let me see if there's any others on here. Nichts. There are many others, but that's just this sound is very prominent, and that has the letter C in it, but the letter C isn't too prominent by itself. D, pretty simple. Dunkel, that's a definite word, or a definite word with that. E, pretty simple. It produces a sound. Eng, meaning narrow or tight. Leben, that's another E word. Jeden, another E word. Pretty simple. It's more has more like a sound, similar to the umlaut A. So when we have EE with this word, layer, in English, if we have two E's, it makes an E sound. However, in German, the two E's make a prolonged A sound, like layer. So that's same with the double O. F, pretty simple. Frieden, meaning peace. Layer means empty, by the way. Frieden, just simple F, just like mostly like English. G, pretty simple when it starts a word, like the word Geschichte or history. Geben is the verb for give, or the verb to give. Langweilig. Now, when a G ends a word, which is pretty common, it can do one of two things. You can pronounce. Some people pronounce it langweilig. They stop the G pretty quickly, or they'll pronounce it like a CH at the end, or like langweilig. That depends. Like I've heard it done both ways. I was first taught it pronounced langweilig, with a little bit of the, but not a whole lot. But then when I got to college, I heard people saying this langweilig with more sound to it. So it depends. The G can end up sounding a little more like this, like the CH. Now I have the EU or umlaut AU here. EU doesn't have a U sound. In English, if we see that, we think I. But EU in German pronounces oi. And the same thing with umlaut AU pronounces like oi. Like the word Fräulein, or a unmarried woman or girl. Fräulein. The umlaut A with the U pronounces the oi sound, just like EU does. Or the word euch means which means that is a variation of saying you guys. Euch. So that's what that sounds like. The EU or the umlaut AU pronounces the oi sound. Okay, over to H. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. It's just hoch, which means high, or has different meanings. Helfen, which is the verb to help. On to I. The I can do a couple of things. It can have an E sound, or it can have an I sound, like the word Idee. The word Idee is a idea. It sounds Idee. Or we have the word Geschichte, again, which means history. The I here, Geschichte, is the I sound, I sound. Alright, on to J. J is nothing like the J in our language. The sound J is not what J does. J, when you see J in German, it pronounces a Y sound. What Y does for English, J does for German. So the word Jahr is year in German. The J gives it a Y sound, or jeden, every, jeden. So this is different. K, pretty simple. Like in English, we have a lot of C words, which makes a k sound, but K does all the work for that. Klo, which is like a slang-like term for bathroom or restroom. Kleider, clothing. L, also pretty simple. Langweilig, which means boring. Leben means life. M, pretty simple. Männer, see that umlaut A, Männer. It's not Manner, it's Männer, which means men. Schlimm, which is like a version of horrible or terrible. Double M just makes a longer schlimm. N, also pretty simple. Niemand, which means, I should also say that D can also sound like a T. Niemand. The T, it's not, it isn't really said niemand. There's no D sound too much there. It's more sounding more like a T. It sounds like niemand. Nichts, another N word. So on to O. The regular O, doppel or double, or upvol. Upvol is like although. A regular O sounds like doppel, upvol. However, when you have two O's, when we see two O's in English, we think ooh, but that's not the case in German. Boat. That's a boat. You can think of this, some people think this is a boot, but a boot is Stiefel in German. Das Boot. It's pronounced boat or doof. This word is, it's a word, a way of saying stupid in German. There are a couple ways of saying stupid in German, like doof or blöd or dumm. Doof. It's not doof. It's doof. Onto the umlaut O. This has more like a sound, like geöffnet, which is like opened. Können, which is the verb can, like I can go to the movies. Können, mögen, which is to like something. Möchten, which is would like. So these are some modal verbs which have that umlaut O. Now you see the O without the umlaut makes a O sound like doppel or obwohl, while the O with the umlaut makes a sound like mögen, können, möchten, geöffnet. So that's, people can not really know what the umlaut means, and that's where a lot of confusion comes in German with these umlauts. P, pretty simple. Pflegen, which is the verb to care for. Pilz is a noun for mushroom. Petersilie is a noun for parsley. Pretty simple. Q, you know, in English where we say quiz or quilt, there's no w sound in German. This word, quiz, it's pronounced kvitz or kviz because they take this word from us. Kvatsch is a kind of a slang-like terms, which means like kind of like bullshit or baloney. Kvatsch, yeah, whatever. You're full of it. Kvatsch. When you see a QU in German, it makes a kv sound. The Q doesn't do a whole lot in German. So R is kind of complicated because when you're starting out in German, they will teach you just to say R like you would in English, but there is a bit of a throat sound to it. We would say reden, but they would say something, and this is not very easy. It kind of comes with use or comes with hearing the language. Reden, schreiben, Rechtschreibung. That's kind of like you are people who speak the English language use the front of their mouth, while people who speak German and even more so French. French is like, I'm trying to get into French, and they use their throat way more than Germans do, I think. Reden, schreiben, Rechtschreibung. That's like the Reden, schreiben, Rechtschreibung. That's like the more what you'd hear there, but people here, like, they don't have that as much, but that's just something I want to point out. Schreiben, Reden, the word Begriff. It's a throat-like sound with the R. But if you're starting out in German, I wouldn't worry about that too much, and just kind of let it come as you hear the language in whatever way that you're learning it. Okay, S, you can see, like in English, when we see like see, the word to see, S-E-E. See, when you see the letter S at the beginning of a word, you think see, see. However, in German, it doesn't make too much of a S sound. The word sehen is a verb to see. It makes more of a Z sound, sehen. This word is different because it has a CH. Schatz, Strasse, Zeus. The word Zeus is probably a good example. Zeus. It makes it more of a Z sound. Let me find another. Sogar. But they tend to make more of a Z sound. Zayn. Zayn. Za. Za is a present, or it's a past imperfect way of saying see, and then I saw something. Shots is like my treasure. You say mine shots. Okay, on to this one. You see this little B-like thing. That is not a B. That is just a letter that is used to say a prolonged S. Strasse, Strasse, Strasse. When you see that B-like thing, that's the way, kind of like the way that they used to write S's. It kind of was like this kind of. I don't know, and then I don't know the history of that letter, but when you see that in German today, that means like a prolonged S, not like Zane, which is like Zayn, but it's a prolonged S, like Strasse, Zeus. T, pretty simple. Tochter, which means daughter. Tun, which is the verb to do. U is more complicated because there's a regular U and then there's a umlaut U. I have this word here, which is pretty. This whole thing is all one word, which has a regular U and then a umlaut U in it. So I'll go to these two here. Mutter. The regular U pronounces it's like more like a sound, like Hund, Mutter. Meine Mutter. Mutter is mother, of course. Hund is dog. And then in the umlaut U is not the easiest thing to pronounce. It's like more of a U sound, but the way to pronounce it is that you say E. Act like you're saying E, then pucker your lips. E. Grün. Süßigkeiten. Grün is green. Süßigkeiten is sweets, like candy. So the way that the Germans do it is kind of hard to capture here if you're learning German in any other country that isn't primarily German speaking. But that's kind of the way it is. You say E, but while puckering your lips. E. This word Gummihüpfen. Gummi, the regular U, Gummihüpfen. That's like it's like Chinese. It's like a game that kids play. It's like Chinese jump rope, something like that. But I like that word for this purposes because it has a regular U and then a umlaut U. Gummihüpfen. That kind of shows you the difference between the regular U and the umlaut U. Now V. V isn't pronounced V. When you see a V word in German, it's pronounced F. Like Vogel, which is bird in German. Der Vogel. So then you might ask, why do we have F? I don't know, because V's in German sound like F's. Vogel, or Vorschlag, or Vorreden, or Verderben, or there's many V words. W. Now this, you see a word like Welt, and you're gonna want to pronounce it like a W. It's not Welt. It's Welt. W's in German are pronounced like V's in English. So Welt. Do I have any other W words on here? Wollen. The word to want. Wollen. So, but then you might ask, well, where's the sound W? There isn't really. There isn't one. X and Y, the only places that I can think of where those come in is when the German language takes something from English. And I can't recall any words of those two letters at the moment. However, Z is important because you'll see because Z in English is Z, while the Z in German is Z, like a TS together. Z. It's not Zimmer, it's Zimmer. It's not Zeit, it's Zeit. So that's the way those all go. So if you have any questions, that's like a basic pronunciation. Oh, I want to pronounce one more thing. Or I want to show one more thing. The IE versus EI in German. When you see IE, like in the word D, the word D, that's one of many ways of saying the in German. But if you see IE, DIE, it's not pronounced die, it's pronounced D. DIE. When you see IE at all in German, it's E, like the word Frieden. It's not Frieden, it's Frieden. And then the word EI, like in the word ein. Ein is one of many ways of saying a or an. If you see EI, it's always ein. Ein, and not ein, it's ein. See if I have any EI words here. I don't think so. Oh, Rechtschreibung, Schreibung, Kleider. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to discuss. So, if you have any questions, then I guess it's kind of hard to understand where all this comes into, because this is just a video on pronunciation and not what the words mean or how to string sentences together. But I want to get to all that, and I want to get to how to know which the to use, or which a or an to use, or which this or that or my to use, because there's a ton of them. There's many ways to say the, many ways to say this, many ways to say his or her, or ours, or you guys's. So I'll be doing more videos like this in the German language. So if you think I've messed something up or left something out, comment below, because whenever you comment, I get an email. If your comment is constructive, then I'll always respond. Thank you.